And Matt Duchene's having a huge year for them. I think he's got 30 points for them. I think he leads their team in points. So they are an interesting squad.
Yeah, there seems to be that gap between the Wyatt Johnsons and the Jamie Benns.
Yeah, like
right?
I don't think they're like one of them's talking about Pokemon or whatever, and the other's dealing with his Roth IRA.
You've never sounded older. His Pokemons.
Pokemons.
He's talking about his Pokemons. But it's another great, since we are in the Leaf Hour, it's a great opportunity to be tortured for Leaf fans watching Mason Marchment, who was traded for Malgin, as everybody knows, and he's been good for them this year, and he's a beast. He's the type of guy that every Leaf fan would love on their team. So it's another opportunity for Leaf fans to be tortured watching him play tonight.
It's fun.
Or it's another chance to think that they're going to win because they have won 6 straight meetings against the
wild.
Stars.
They've been really good.
Outscoring them 24-10, the same ones that I've just spoken of about being a contender.
Nick Robertson versus Jason Robertson. Nick Robertson is 4-0.
Yeah.
He has 2 goals to Jason's 0, 2 points to Jason's 1, 10 shots to Jason's 9. Nick Robertson, the better Robertson.
And if you'll remember correctly, I think Matthews broke the Leafs' single-season goal-scoring record in Dallas. It was an overtime goal.
It wasn't just an overtime goal. It was a goal, I don't know if you guys remember it, where he looped into the neutral zone. And it was as if he had like 2 or 3 guys hanging off his back.
Yeah.
And he went in and stuffed it in. And you're like, one of the all-time power moves.
Yeah.
It was a statement goal. It wasn't just a goal. And it wasn't just to set a record. It was, for me, a statement goal.
It's funny because I don't remember that, but I remember Nick Robertson's OT winner.
You do?
Yeah, you know.
That's where I'm at.
Wow. So, yeah. It'd be interesting to see if they can get that. Matthews would be nice to.
Morgan
have that.
Riley has lit up the Dallas Stars. All-time points per game among defensemen versus Dallas. It's Bobby Orr, then Morgan Riley, then Paul Coffey, and Dennis Potvin. 1.29 points per game against the Stars.
Wow.
All right, so does loading up a big line for the Toronto Maple Leafs get them to 7 straight wins?
You're gonna hate this, Barney.
Oh, God.
The advice to the top line, clip 2, please.
Bang it in. Somewhere to the inside.
At number 2, clip 2, please, Derek.
Don't be too fancy. Like, you still gotta play the right way, be direct, shoot pucks, get to the net. Like I talk to these guys, like you can't all be on the outside wanting the puck and, trying to create space for yourself. We got to be direct still, and you got to have guys at the net. So if somebody's got the puck, the other 2 guys got to read off each other, and they got to be at the net. Because if they're, they have the puck and they're skating around and doing all this stuff, and nobody's at the net, no shots are getting there. It's pretty much useless.
Has he seen the way the 3 of them dress? They do fancy.
Can we just get the start of that clip again, please, Derek?
Don't be too fancy.
Oh.
Great. That's a great drop. Save that one.
They are fancy.
They are fancy. That's why they're bajillionaires and why they're famous and why they're all-stars.
That's what it boils down
Hall
to.
of Fame tracking guys. They're fancy.
If you don't want these guys to be fancy, and I'm asking this to the coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I will never get an answer, why are you putting these 3 guys together if you don't want it to be fancy? Like, what are you're expecting all these guys to be like Thomas Holmstrom all of a sudden? Like, if you don't want them to be fancy, why put them together? It's going to be the fanciest thing ever.
Oh, God. They're talking about monocles. They're coming out doing Rockettes kicks. And wait till you see what you get tonight.
It's almost like he's preparing to be mad at it.
I know.
Like he's pre-mad.
He pre-hates it.
He's pre-mad.
It's such a good point.
What are we gonna say if
Habits take time
It's
to
so
break.
stupid.
hey,
I
if
love
they
being
if they dump a puck into a corner, I'm gonna be crushed.
Well, I know. And they're going to. Can you just see it? Like Willie's coming up through the neutral zone. He dumps it in Mitch's corner, and Mitch bangs into who do they have on D back there? I don't even know. Is Hawkenpää
And one of
still
them
on
looks
their
at
team?
the other one and goes, "Go get it. Go."
They
No.
all try to be F3?
Me. I went in last time.
Yeah.
It's your turn to dump and chase.
They got Labushkin, Brendan Smith, Nils Lundqvist. How is this team so good? Leon Bichelle, Oscar Back, Colin Blackwell.
You do anticipate a lot of twisting and turning and cycling.
I hope so.
Right?
Harlem Globetrotters, let's go.
But to Craig's
Let's see some
point.
passes connect, Kip. 3 in a row. Let's keep track tonight. How many 3 in a row passes we get?
crisp. on the tip. Tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, not.
And to answer your Thomas Harley's day-to-day and Matt Dumba's on the IR. So there's 2 members of their decor.
Harley's very good.
Yeah,
He's out.
yeah.
Dumba's good as well.
Yeah.
So
a couple guys in their decor that are out.
Their forward group is Robertson, Hintz, Johnston, which I love as a line.
Yep.
Marchment, Duchesne, Stankoven, very good. They're good.
Yep.
We know Stolar's out for anywhere between 4 and 6 weeks. We know Joseph Wall's the man right now.
Yeah.
So what do you think's going through his mind right now in terms of looking, first of all, like you're starting out, it's not kind of like dip your toe in the water here as the new number 1 goaltender now for the Leafs. It's up against a very tough team. What do you think, how he's feeling now moving forward?
He doesn't seem like a guy who gets too stressed out. He's good self-talk, smart guy, but I just feel like, so I follow the Islanders, as you guys know, and Varlamov's hurt, so they're playing Sorokin every night. Sorokin's he was great for a while, great save percentage, and the last 3 games, it's like 867, 818, 826. Like, it's like 9 of their last 10 starts or 9 of their last 9 maybe he's been in. And it's just like it's fallen apart on him a little bit. Like, can Joseph Woll, how much are they going to lean on Woll with no backup? Well, I'm going to say no backup.
I'm sure like on a personal level, it's pretty exciting for him to go up against Ottinger tonight. That's like their former teammates with the U.S. Junior National Program or whatever. That's probably pretty cool. They've never actually gotten to play. I think it was last year that maybe he was hurt. Probably that he was hurt, so they didn't get the match up. So that's probably cool. But like I said yesterday, I'll say it again. To Borney's point, gotta be careful here. Like, you really got to be careful.
I want to ask you this question because you kind of have a temperature out there for the overall feel of the Leafs amongst your people.
My people.
Your people.
Oh, my people. Thank you.
And that is that if Wall doesn't have a great, I'm not saying that he's pulled, I'm not saying that he gets shelled, but he just doesn't have a great night. Does that start now a small fire in your world about the goaltending, or are you gonna be okay?
I think most Leaf fans, their real worry with Wall is injury, not performance. Where I think everybody, myself included, kind of thinks that he's a very good goalie and think that he's going to be okay, and that like if he's in the lineup, they trust that he's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just that they play 100 games in the next 4 days, and that he's very injury prone, and that if how much he's going to be playing, and sort of what you were talking about with Sorokin, that's the worry. But if he's in there and he's healthy, I trust he's going to give them around between 9-10 and 9-15 goaltending, which should be, with this talent on this team, good enough to win. So I think that's where mostly fans are at.
Outside of tonight, we do know that it's hot and cold right now in terms of the talent that you're going to face. Hot tonight against the Stars. Then you come back with Buffalo and the Islanders. Then you go another tough one against Winnipeg here. He'd have to go on a small stretch of underperforming for you to feel like Houston, we got a problem.
It would be hard. I know this is the jinxiest thing.
Oh, boy.
It'd be hard to make me nervous about his performance because I'm with Sam. Like,
I believe he's a good goalie too.
For me, it's just like, can he do it without breaking things down?
So we're still feeling like they're in good shape here because you can't give them all these kudos for the depth that they've had in that from training camp to this point without feeling like if one of them disappeared, the house was not going to fall apart.
I also feel like with Stolarz, there's probably some, under promise and over deliver hopes, say 4 to 6 weeks and maybe he's back 3 to 4 or something. Like it doesn't have to be that long. I will just say, I don't remember a schedule because of the Four Nations face-off as condensed as this one. From now till the end of January, I don't know, the Leafs got to play 20 times. Like, it's a ton of hockey. So,
do you want to listen to the coach on it?
I do.
Yes,
okay. Clip 3, please, Derek.
Leafs facing center crisis amid injuries, eyeing trade market for solutions. As the Toronto Maple Leafs battle through a growing injury list and a suspension, their lack of depth at the center position has become a glaring issue. According to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman in his latest 32 Thoughts article, the Leafs are among the teams exploring trade options to bolster their lineup. This effort is coming amid increasing competition from teams like the Chicago Blackhawks and Nashville Predators, who have also set their sights on improving their center depth. Friedman didn't mince words about the Leafs' predicament. The teams currently focusing on centers, including Chicago and Nashville, must consider when others will enter the market. Toronto will undoubtedly be one of those teams, he wrote. While the Blackhawks and Predators may have an edge in terms of cap space and assets, the Leafs remain a team to watch as the season progresses. The Leafs situation is urgent, with up to 7 forwards currently unavailable due to injury or suspension. Ryan Reeves is serving a 5-game suspension, while key players like Auston Matthews, upper body, Matthew Knies, upper body, Kaje Jarnkrok, groin/sports hernia, David Kampf, lower body, Max Domi, lower body, and Max Pacioretty, lower body, are all sidelined. The team has even considered temporarily shifting Mitch Marner to the center position, highlighting the severity of their depth issues. This isn't just a short-term concern for the Leafs. Depth at center has been a persistent challenge for the team, and while stopgap solutions like Marner could help in the interim, the front office appears keen to explore longer-term fixes. For fans of the blue and white, this has been a recurring theme. The Leafs' center depth often becomes a problem at the worst possible times. James Myrtle of The Athletic recently added more fuel to the speculation, naming several potential trade targets who could help the Leafs address their issues. Among them is Ryan O'Reilly, a familiar name for Toronto fans. O'Reilly, who signed a 4-year, $18 million deal with Nashville in 2023, might be a trade candidate if the Predators' underwhelming start to the season, 6-11-3, 31st in the league, prompts a rebuild. However, his steep price tag and history with the Leafs, including rejecting a free agency offer less than 2 years ago, make this a complex and potentially unlikely move. Other names mentioned by Myrtle include former Leaf Nazem Kadri, currently with Calgary, as well as players like Michael Granlund, Nick Jugstad, Brock Nelson, Yanni Gourde, Trent Frederick, Radek Faksa, and Sean Kuraly. While some of these options seem more plausible than others, it's clear that general manager Brad Treliving will need to get creative to find the right piece without mortgaging the team's future. Cap space remains one of the biggest obstacles for the Leafs. Unlike teams like Chicago and Nashville, which have more flexibility and assets, Toronto is walking a financial tightrope. As Friedman noted, competition will intensify as cap-constrained teams strive to create room. For the Leafs, that could mean waiting for the market to develop further, a risky move given their current needs. The situation also highlights the Leafs' ongoing struggle to build a roster that can withstand the grueling nature of an NHL season. Injuries are an inevitability in hockey, but Toronto's current predicament underscores the importance of depth, a quality the team has struggled to consistently maintain. Looking back on recent years, the Leafs have often leaned heavily on their star players, particularly Matthews, Marner, and William Nylander. While these players have delivered in spades, the lack of reliable depth options has left the team vulnerable in critical moments. The current crisis at center is merely the latest example of this recurring issue. Some fans have called for more aggressive moves from Treliving, arguing that now is the time to strike while the team's core is in its prime. Others, however, are more cautious, pointing to the dangers of overpaying for short-term fixes. Striking the right balance will be key, especially as the Leafs aim to keep their championship window open. Despite the challenges, there's no denying that Toronto has the talent to be a contender, provided they can patch up their lineup. The ongoing rumors and speculation surrounding potential trades show that the Leafs are at least exploring every avenue to strengthen their roster. For fans of the blue and white, this moment feels like a pivotal point in the season. With a lineup ravaged by injuries and a tough schedule ahead, the Leafs must act decisively to avoid falling behind in the standings. The addition of a dependable center could be the difference between weathering the storm or watching another season slip away. Whether it's O'Reilly, Kadri, or another surprise name, one thing is certain: the Leafs are under pressure to deliver. And for a fan base as passionate and loyal as Toronto's, there's no room for excuses. The time to act is now, and Leafs Nation is watching closely. As the trade deadline approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Treliving pull off a move that solidifies the Leafs' status as a contender, or will the search for center depth become yet another chapter in the team's long history of what-ifs? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure: it's never boring in Leafs land. As the Maple Leafs navigate this critical juncture, their fan base remains as vocal as ever. Toronto is a city that breathes hockey, and the pressure on Brad Treliving to make the right moves is immense. Every decision he makes, or doesn't make, will be scrutinized, from talk radio to social media, where Leafs Nation is already debating the merits of the various names being floated as potential trade targets. Among the louder debates is whether the team should prioritize a high-profile acquisition like Ryan O'Reilly or Nazem Kadri, or focus on a lower-cost, reliable center who can fill a supporting role without costing too many future assets. While O'Reilly's leadership and playoff experience make him an attractive option, his contract and recent history with the Leafs add layers of complexity to any potential reunion. Similarly, Kadri's gritty, two-way playstyle remains a fan favorite, but his cap hit and availability might render him an unrealistic target. Another factor complicating the Leafs situation is their tight salary cap. While Chicago and Nashville can make moves with relative ease due to their financial flexibility, Toronto must navigate a labyrinth of constraints to make any trade work. This likely means including salary retention or moving existing contracts to make room, which could drive up the cost of any potential deal. The question then becomes, how much are the Leafs willing to sacrifice to address their immediate needs? One potential trade partner generating buzz is the Seattle Kraken. Yanni Gourde, a dependable two-way center, has been mentioned as a possible target. Gourde's versatility and championship pedigree from his time with Tampa Bay make him an appealing option. Seattle, however, is in playoff contention and may not be inclined to part with a key piece unless the Leafs can provide a substantial return. Another intriguing name is Brock Nelson of the New York Islanders. Nelson is a consistent scorer and reliable faceoffman, qualities that would undoubtedly bolster Toronto's center depth. However, the Islanders are notoriously cautious when it comes to trades, and prying Nelson away would likely require a significant package, including picks or prospects that the Leafs may be hesitant to part with. For all the trade talk, some analysts believe the solution might come from within. Sheldon Keefe has shown a willingness to experiment with his lineup, and players like Pontus Holmberg or Fraser Minton could be given an opportunity to step up. While relying on less experienced players carries risks, it might be the Leafs' only option if the trade market proves too costly or slow to develop. Adding to the Leafs' urgency is the timing. The Atlantic Division remains one of the toughest in the league, with teams like Boston, Florida, and Tampa Bay continuing to dominate. Any prolonged slump could see Toronto slip further down the standings, putting their playoff hopes in jeopardy. For a team with Stanley Cup aspirations, failing to address their weaknesses could have catastrophic consequences. Brad Treliving's history as a general manager suggests he's not afraid to make bold moves. His time with the Calgary Flames was marked by blockbuster trades, including the acquisition of Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar in the Matthew Tkachuk deal. Leafs fans hope he brings that same decisiveness to Toronto, especially as the trade deadline looms. Beyond the immediate need for a center, this situation underscores a broader issue with the Leafs roster construction. Depth has been a perennial concern, and while Toronto boasts some of the league's top-end talent, their reliance on a handful of stars has left them vulnerable in moments like this. Moving forward, addressing this imbalance must be a priority for the front office if the team is to achieve sustained success. As the Leafs head into a critical stretch of the season, the next few weeks could define their trajectory.